Since there is a consensus in the science world that the Big Bang is the source of the universe's existence, many physical conclusions have been made. If it were scientifically recognized that our universe was created in the collapse of a star in another universe with a million of years time distortion between the universes, then other physical conclusions have been made. In this premium chapter we will dive into the depths of the Sun and reveal the burning of stardust and nuclear fission at the depth of the solar reactor. We will understand why the origin of the universe is in a collapse of a star in another distorted in time universe. But first of all, introduction. All phenomena not understood in the solar system are attributed to nuclear fusion or to random circumstances when all phenomena actually have one simple reason. For example, the Sun rotates around the axis, and the equator of the Sun rotates faster than the poles. The corona of the Sun is 300 times hotter than the surface of the Sun. Increased magnetism in the Sun. The tilt of the Earth changes every half the Sun's circumference and the tilt of the other planets is also changing. The Sun's endless energy source. The very existence of the Sun. But there is a phenomenon that can explain all the phenomena attributed to nuclear fusion and the random phenomena in the Sun, and it is the collapse of a star in another universe, distorted in time, and the formation of a new Sun. Because of the distortion of time between the universes, the mass of the star collapsing in another universe which passes through the black hole becomes mass of stardust saturated with natural gas and fuel. After some long time when stardust is flowing into our universe, stardust has lighted and several things happened at the same time inside the Sun. The black hole injects stardust into the Sun and turns the Sun around the axis, causing the equator to rotate faster than the poles. Natural gas and fuel floating, burning outside the Sun, causing the corona to be 300 times hotter than the surface of the Sun. Increased magnetism in the Sun is actually the gravitational pull of the star in a collapse in another universe passing through a narrow opening of the black hole, in two opposite directions. This is what the Sun's internal reactor looks like. Look at the picture. In the center of the Sun, the solar energy is created. There are some elements that create the solar energy. There is the stardust that comes out of the black hole. There is another factor here that is first explained, and it is, the gases emit from the Sun through the black hole back into the universe where the star is in collapse is located. This means that in the center of the solar reactor there is stardust with fire-burning activity that emits gas to another universe. Because the black hole emits gas and because there is nuclear activity inside the Sun, then must be a generator of the nuclear fission reactor and possibly nuclear fusion as a result of nuclear fission. All of this energy comes from the burning of stardust, that generates a continuous nuclear fission, that generates solar energy. Nuclear fission may cause nuclear fusion, but at this point it cannot be said with certainty whether nuclear fusion or fission is the dominant cause of solar activity. Take a look at this photo. This is the full structure of the solar system. The tilt of the planets is due to the gravitational pull of the star in a collapse that passes through a narrow opening of the black hole, in two opposite directions. The gravity of the star in collapse will the poles of the Earth, changed every each half cycle, pulling the poles, creating the seasons on the Earth. Each planet is affected differently, and it depends on the distance from the Sun, area of exposure, and the time duration of exposure to the gravity of the star in collapse in another universe. The Sun's energy source is generated by combustion of natural gas and fuel which are in stardust that inside the Sun's reactor, which generates nuclear activity. Gas is emitted from the combustion, drained to another universe. The Sun was created in the same process as the Earth. In the Earth's depths, there are natural gas and fuel, indicating the need to find natural gas and fuel inside the Sun to be the Sun's energy source. Gas and fuel that are not burned inside the Sun float on the Sun's surface, and burn on the surface of the Sun, thus causing the corona phenomenon of the Sun to be 300 times hotter than the Sun's surface. Around the solar system there is burnt stardust, indicating the high probability that there is still a source in the Sun which injects stardust into the Sun. The equator of the Sun rotates faster than the poles, indicating the high probability of the external force source, power of the black hole inside the Sun, which without this power, the Sun's equator could not rotate faster than the poles. The increased magnetism within the Sun indicates that there's a star in collapse in another universe that affecting the Sun's gravity. Mass passing through a black hole with a time distortion explains the flow of stardust into the Sun for millions of years, explaining the chemical process in which the mass of a star in collapse changes to become stardust saturated with natural gas and fuel. Fiery looping rain on the Sun is a phenomenon that meets all the criteria needed to be a white hole in the Sun. Fiery looping rain on the Sun is rich in energy. It has a mass flow in two opposite directions just like a black hole that has two opposite exits, and just as the black hole of the star in collapse that have two gas exit sacs in two opposite directions. According to that all evidence, fiery looping rain on the Sun is a white hole in the Sun, rotating the Sun, injecting stardust into the Sun and being the Sun's source of energy. Natural gas and fuel have the ability to cause nuclear fission in the Sun and then cause nuclear fusion. Because combustion of natural gas and fuel inside the Sun can cause the Sun energy, it is concluded that stardust containing natural gas and fuel is the Sun's only source of energy. Nuclear fusion cannot exist independently within the Sun without stardust energy. The dream of creating an artificial star on the Earth that will provide cheap, clean energy for all humanity can exist only if we will inject stardust into it. In conclusion, if a black hole can transfer massive collapse of a star to another universe, then even if the breakthrough threshold for creating a new universe is high, it is quite possible that a massive star will collapse and create a new universe. The gravity of the Sun becomes smaller in the area in front of the black hole's opening. The gravitational force of the Sun in front of the opening of the black hole consists of the gravitational pull of the Sun plus the gravitational pull of the star in a collapse in another universe. As mentioned, the Sun is fed by the star in a collapse in another universe energy. Then the star in the other universe loses mass. Therefore, the gravitational pull of the Sun becomes smaller in the area where it is in front of the opening of the black hole, because the star in collapse is losing mass and creates the illusion that the Sun is getting smaller. In fact, the Sun is growing, but the mass loss of the star in collapse has been absorbed by measurements and calculations. Therefore, planet Mercury moving away from the Sun shows that the star's in collapse gravitational force in the other universe is decreasing as a result of mass loss.